Hello friends, Mohammad Kazim Sheikh here. Today we'll discuss the first lesson. In fact, the first lesson of 12th English from Flamingo. The title of the chapter is uh, the last lesson. In fact, the last lesson is the title, but this is the first lesson from Flamingo. Now, this chapter or this lesson is written by the writer is Alphonse Daudet. Alphonse Daudet. Alphonse Daudet, not Daudet. Alphonse. Alphonse Daudet. This is French pronunciation. You have to be very uh, 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 clear because the last syllable is not pronounced in French. Okay, so Daudet, Alphonse. PH will be pronounced as the. Alphonse Daudet. Okay, so now let us discuss about this particular chapter, what this chapter is all about, and what first. Uh, Before starting, let's talk about the backdrop of this chapter. Now, when we talk about the backdrop, why this particular chapter it was written, and what was the reason for writing this chapter? So first, we have to go back to the history, and we have to understand that. Uh, sorry, between 19 July 1970 till 10th May 1971, during this particular period, a war it was fought between France and Prussia. Now you may ask, what is Prussia here? Because at present in the contemporary world, this Prussia is not at all existing. So what is this Prussia? Now when we talk about Prussia, it was a German state founded in 1525, wasn't it? Long back, 1525 it was founded, and it consisted of parts of Belgium, Poland, Russia, Germany, Netherlands, and even some parts of Switzerland. Okay, and this Prussia it was completely dominated by the Germans, the ruthless Germans. Okay, and their aim was to, as you know, they had that imperialistic designs in their mind, and they wanted to conquer the whole world, isn't it? So they wanted to conquer Germany. They wanted to conquer France, isn't it? And they wanted to disrupt the balance of power. Okay, so this is what Prussia is all about at that particular time. Now at present, Prussia is not existing, only German state is there, which was unified after the collapse of Berlin War. But at that particular time, during 17th century, 18th century, this Prussia it existed. Okay, so when we talk about Franco-Prussian War, the ramifications were there of this uh, uh, Franco-Prussian War. And what were the ramification? Ramification means consequences. Consequences were unification of Germany. Unification of Germany. Unification of Germany. Then the most important, because of which this chapter it was written, annexation of Alsace and Lorraine. Alsace and Lorraine. ALSAC, Alsace and Lorraine. Now this Alsace and Lorraine, now in this particular battle, France it was routed, it was badly defeated, and a treaty it was signed between Prussia and France, and according to that treaty, a very fertile uh, province of France, that is uh, Alsace. Alsace and Lorraine, it was according to the treaty, it was given to the Prussians. Now, when it was given to the Prussians, what happened? Now, it was not just a giving of the physical territory. In a way, they have to give up. They have to give. Who the French people? They have to give their what we say pride also. Their pride it was hijacked. Okay, their freedom it was hijacked. Okay, like that it happened. Okay, so that lesson is written about that only. What happened after this, after the annexation of Alsace and Lorraine, isn't it? It was annexed by the Prussians. How the Prussians they behaved with the residents of Alsace-Lorraine. Okay, so this is all about. Then you just think about it. What would happen if your own freedom is hijacked? Isn't it? Your freedom to express yourself, your freedom to speak your own mother tongue, it would be hijacked. What will happen? So this chapter is all about that. Okay. So uh, what is this chapter all about? First and the foremost, we'll talk about. I told you already that this last lesson is written by Alphonse Daudet, and uh, there was a war between uh, what we say Prussia and uh, Prussia and France. Okay, at that particular time, Napoleon, he was the second French Empire, isn't it? He was in a way provoked by the Chancellor of Germany. Chancellor of Germany, he was Chancellor of Germany. He was Bismarck. Bismarck. Bismarck was the Chancellor of Germany. He provoked Napoleon, and a fierce war it was fought, and in which France it was brutally defeated. Then there are, a treaty it was signed. The treaty came to be known as Treaty of Frankfurt, which gave, according to this treaty, Alsace and Lorraine. Alsace, that is actually pronounced Alsace and Lorraine. It was given to the Prussians. Okay, so understood. I hope you have understood the backdrop. So finally, Alsace and Lorraine was occupied by the Germans. So it was occupied by the Germans. Now I will ask you some question. Now let us discuss about the theme. What is the what are the themes? Last lesson. When we talk about the theme, first we'll write about the main theme. The main theme of the story. It is called linguistic. 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 Linguistic jingoism. Jingoism. Linguistic jingoism. You should understand this. What is linguistic jingoism? Now, when we talk about linguistic jingoism, isn't it? When you suffer from this disease called linguistic jingoism, now one thing is called uh, one thing is called uh, patriotism or feeling, having that sort of pride for the language, for the country. It is a good thing. But when you suffer from linguistic jingoism, you feel that if you suffer from this linguistic jingoism, you feel that my language, my country, when you suffer, my language, my country, my traditions, my customs are superior, whereas other customs, other languages, and other traditions are inferior. So when you have this, what we say, when you have this feeling, ill feeling, then you suffer from this particular disease called jingoism. Or to be, when you talk to be precise, linguistic jingoism means what? Feeling, what we say, proud, blindly thinking that your own language is superior as compared to other languages. In fact, you believe what? You believe in linguistic hegemony. You know what hegemony means? Superiority, isn't it? That my language is best, isn't it? And others are inferior, others languages are inferior. My class, my language, my country is superior. So what we'll try to do, when you become, what we say, if you are very very powerful, you will try, and when you make another small country or colony, then what you will do, you will try to impose your language on others, because you suffer from this linguistic jingoism or linguistic hegemony. So this actually should not be there, and this is what the Germans they did, or the Prussians they did uh, uh, when they conquered, or when they seized this particular province, Alsace and Alsace Alsace and Lorraine. Alsace and Lorraine, when they, in a way, they conquered it or they seized it. Okay, so now what they did, they when they seized this particular region, Alsace and Lorraine, what they try to do? Now what they try to do there, in a way, they hijack the freedom of the people, also people of Alsace and Lorraine. People of Alsace and Lorraine, isn't it? Their freedom to speak their mother tongue, it was hijacked. In fact, they were banned, isn't it? They were prohibited from speaking their mother tongue. And what was the mother tongue there in Alsace and Lorraine? It was French. Okay. Now what happened? Once this particular region, Alsace and Lorraine, it was confiscated. What they did, they sent uh, an order. The British administration, sir, issued an order that from now onward only German language would be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. No other language would be spoken. Those teachers who were teaching French, they would either they would get the retirement, or they have to leave their job, and now the German teachers would come and they would teach this uh, German. It was like forcefully it was done, isn't it? The naturally what happened, the people of Alsace and Lorraine, they did not like it, but they were helpless. Okay, so this is how they try to hijack the freedom of the people. So this chapter is all about this. Another word for linguistic hegemony or linguistic chauvinism is called linguistic chauvinism. Linguistic jingoism भी कह सकते हो आप, linguistic chauvinism, CHAUVINISM. Okay, linguistic chauvinism, CHAUVINISM. Pride, isn't it? Pride. You should feel proud, but excessive blind uh, pride, we call it, isn't it? To the extent that you think that other culture, other language is inferior, then it is something disastrous for you. Okay, got it? So they were the people of Alsace and Lorraine. They were taken this particular right. Okay, now let us. So first, this is the main theme: linguistic chauvinism. Pura, if you talk about, if you see the whole chapter, what in this chapter, what they try to do, they try to impose their language. Who? The Prussians on the people of Alsace and Lorraine, and they were given, hasn't it? They were told that you have no choice, no choice at all. You have to surrender, and you have to speak this language. First, you have to learn it. Okay, in all the schools and schools of the towns, doesn't it? The villages, this notice came, doesn't it? This government notice came, this notice from the administration came that from now onwards only German would be taught. Okay, so naturally the people were not happy, but they were weak also. They had to succumb to the order, isn't it? They had no choice at all. So this is the main theme, isn't it? Linguistic chauvinism. How the people, those who are very very powerful, those who have imperialistic design, how they try to impose their will upon those who are very very weak, isn't it? Now this region, Alsace and Lorraine, it was made a province by the Prussians. Okay, now they are imposing their wills. They're imposing their will over here, isn't it? So this is linguistic chauvinism. First, the main theme: how people how the powerful people, how the powerful rulers with imperialistic design, they try to impose their will on the weaker, on the colonies, okay, on the people who are invaded. Okay, so this is linguistic chauvinism. This is the what you can say main theme. Second is very important. Now this is the sub theme, you can call it sub theme, not the main theme but the sub themes. So this is the sub theme. So when you talk about sub theme, the sub theme is procrastination. Procrastination is disastrous. So procrastination is considered as very, very, you can say disastrous. Okay. Now, why it is disastrous? Uh, First, let us talk about who are the main protagonists in this chapter. Two main, you can call heroes of the story. One is a 9-year-old boy named Franz. Okay, Franz is the uh, uh, mean a 9-year-old boy. Through this 9-year-old boy the story is told. That means the narrator is this 9-year-old boy. The story is narrated through this boy, 9-year-old boy. Okay, and another very important character you can call the second hero of the story as Mr. The French teacher, okay, Mr. Hamel. Hamel, the French teacher in the school, in one of the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. He is the one who teaches in this particular school where France studies. Okay, so these are the two persons. One is Mr. France and second is Mr. Hamel. Okay, he is a French teacher. Is a French teacher and Franz is a 9-year-old boy. Okay. Now, uh, why procrastination? Now, first we have to understand what is procrastination. In simple word, it is called dilly-dallying, dilly-dally attitude of the people. Dilly-dally, isn't it? And this is a human tendency. Dilly-dally, dilly-dally attitude. Dilly dally attitude. Okay, that means आज what we say in Hindi, आज का काम कल पर छोड़ना. Isn't it? That means you're not doing your work on proper time. Isn't it? You always feel that there is always next chance. Okay, and this is the main problem with Franz. He's a 9-year-old boy. He is not taking his studies seriously. This boy is not taking his studies seriously. Is not paying attention, always coming school late. Always he's late, isn't it? He's not coming on time. He's always late. This boy not coming on time, not paying attention on French grammar, whatever the master tells, he's not paying attention at all. So this is procrastination as highlighted over here. Got it? Now, something very important here. What happens when you are procrastinating? Many times it happens, when the time is there, we never understand the importance of things. Isn't it? We never understand the importance of things. We understand the importance of things, people, only when the things are missing from our life or when the things are out of our reach. That happens. This is the human tendency. This generally happens. For you, if you are, got it, when the thing is with you, you take that particular thing for granted. So this happened with not only France but also with other people of the town. When the French, when they had the chance to learn their own mother tongue properly, how to read and write, they never paid attention, isn't it? They were taking French language, which is considered as one of the most logical, beautiful languages of the world. They used to take this language, they used to take this particular language for granted. Okay, it was something very very precious, but they used to take it for granted. Now what happened? The time slipped from their hands. The sluggish time proved disastrous. The sluggish time, when we talk about what is the meaning of sluggish time? The evil time, isn't it? Sluggish time started showing its ugly face, and the things turned. And the Germans, the Prussians, they occupied this particular territory. That means Alsace and Lorraine. Okay, now it created sensation, and people realized the importance of their language. Isn't why they realized the importance of their language? Because now what happened? Their right to speak in their own language, it was hijacked. France, he was also shocked, okay, when the order came that now, from now onward, only German would be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. Okay, no other language, no French language. Okay, so not only France but other people, they were shocked, and then at that particular moment they developed that sort of fascination, the love for their own language. But now the time has gone, doesn't it? So this generally happens when the things are, uh, you know, uh, when the things are very close to you. When the things are very close to you, when you ever understand the importance of those things, but when they're out of reach, you understand their importance. So this is what we call dilly dally attitude of the people. So uh, this is highlighted over here. Second theme: procrastination is disastrous. Okay, we should not delay things. So this is the second theme: we must not delay work. Second, and third is always respect your mother tongue. Always, sorry, respect your linguistic traditions. Very important. And if you are not respecting your linguistic traditions, then naturally your enemies would not respect it. So that is something very very, if you respect, then only your enemies would respect. And if you have preserved your linguistic traditions, then what will happen? The others will not be able to hijack your freedom. The enemies would not be able to hijack your freedom. That is what shown over here. Okay, so I hope you understood here. Now let us talk about the main highlight. Here we have discussed the theme, main highlights of this chapter. First and the foremost, the story narrated through the eyes of a 9-year-old boy. 9-year-old boy. Okay, now his metamorphosis is mentioned here. Metamorphosis mentioned. What is the meaning of mentioned here? Metamorphosis means transformation. He is a different guy at the beginning. Metamorphosis mentioned here. How? One particular order from Germany. Order from Germany changed his attitude. So this is how what is mentioned. His uh, lackadaisical attitude at the beginning. He was a lackadaisical. Lackadaisical means lethargic person. Lethargic attitude. Okay, he was a lethargic attitude. So at the beginning, France, lethargic. Then changed to, transformed to, transformed to transformed to what? He at the beginning he was lethargic, isn't it? Transformed to studious, in a way, studious person. Studious person you can call him, isn't it? Got it? And so this transformation was there, isn't it? And at the beginning he was a, you can say, a wandering, careless boy, wandering, careless boy. But then, isn't it, changed, completely changed after that order. What order? Order that from now onwards only German would be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. Okay, this is the first thing. The highlight, the story progresses through France. Okay, a 9-year-old boy. Second highlight is what? The repercussions. The repercussion. The repercussions or ramifications or consequences of German invasion. German invasion on education system of education system of Alsace and Lorraine. Okay, and you know how this education system, it was disrupted, isn't it? I told you already. Okay, then third, the main highlight. Okay, the speech delivered by, this is the climax of the chapter, the speech delivered by Mr. Hamel. Very important speech. Okay, and when he was giving this particular speech, isn't it, France as well as other people, they were thunderstruck. They were just listening. They were completely mesmerized, isn't it? And like a philosopher, he spoke. Who? Mr. Hamel. Okay, and so this is all about this particular chapter. Now, little bit, let us talk right from the beginning. How this story progresses. Okay, and first, if you read this particular chapter right from the beginning, isn't it? Now, the main characters. If you talk about this person, that means the France, how the story progresses. At the beginning, the first page, it is mentioned. Franz is saying that on that particular day, he's talking about that particular day, which was a turning point of his life, you can say. He was just 9-year old, and that particular day changed all his perception. That day, isn't it? What was the day? What he was doing on that particular day? He started for school, and as usual, because procrastination became the hallmark of his life, isn't it? And he used to come late daily, isn't it? So I started for school that morning, and isn't it? What he's saying, I started for school on that day, जिसकी पूरी लाइफ को चेंज कर दिया. I started for that day, he's saying, isn't it? And as usual, in great fear of scolding. He was fearful of scolding. Who will scold? Mr. Hamill. Why? Because he will scold him, he would beat him. And you should remember, at that particular time, corporal punishment was the norm. The students, they used to get severe beating from the teachers. Nowadays, of course, it is not the norm. As usual, he said that surely I will get scolding from the teacher because he was late. Second thing, he has not done his homework. Some French participles were given as homework, but he did not learn. So he realized that today also I'll get the nice beating. I will face the music from the master. Got it? So the day he started, isn't it? He started running from his home, and that he felt that the day it was very, very bright, very, very clear. The birds. This was the scene over there. A day, morning, very bright. Morning, very bright, isn't it? Birds chirping. Now see, this story is told through the eyes of uh, a 9-year-old boy. Isn't it? They live in their own world. You should understand, isn't it? Though he's a very small, but at the same time, the children they live in their own world. They weave their own world, isn't it? So they sometimes what happens, you should realize that they pay attention to minor detailings. Okay, so that's why he's saying that the day it was very, very warm, the morning it was very, very warm, isn't it? And the birds were chirping in the woods. Woods means jungle, isn't it? And there was a sawmill, isn't it? And a sawmill was there, some sound, unusual sound from sawmill was, and he was able to hear. And the Prussian soldiers, because they already occupied this region, so Prussian soldiers uh, drilling, exercising, isn't it? So all this he was able to remember, isn't it? So uh, got it. So this atmosphere, छोटे बच्चे होते ना, birds chirping and the day warm, bright, isn't it? Morning ka time, and then the Prussian soldiers, they are drilling, doing exercises, doing march paths. Isn't it? For a small child who is just 9 year old, this whole situation, this whole scene is very, very tempting. But he was able to resist this temptation. Why? Because he has to reach the school, isn't he? He was already late. Okay, now what happened? What भाग रहा है? He is running, and he reached. What happened? भागते भागते कहाँ पहुंचा वो? Town hall. Now town hall is that particular place where you get all the administrative information. There used to be a big information board over there, and if any new information is there, suppose a war is fought, so what is the consequences of war, how the war or how the battle is progressing, every detailing is there on the notice board, okay, in the town hall. Okay, got it. So just he passed the town hall. There he saw a crowd in front of the bulletin board. वहाँ टाउन हॉल पे bulletin board था बड़ा सा, isn't it? And this particular person, that means France, he saw a huge crowd gathered near the bulletin board. Now he was totally confused, perplexed. What is this? Is there any new news? Is there any news, recent news? because at that particular time France, it was completely in the war zone. ऑलरेडी हार गया था प्रूशन से, तो सारी की सारी गलत न्यूज़ ही आ रही थी, isn't it? So he thought, what is the new thing, what is the new news over there, isn't it? For the last 2 years, it is written in the book, for the last 2 years all our bad news had come from there, isn't it? अभी वो फ्रांस में अच्छी खबर आ ही नहीं रही थी, isn't it? All the bad news have come through this bulletin board. So he felt, who? France, that maybe some more disastrous news is there, and that's why the people are eager to read it. Okay, got it? So more got it? So all the worst news are coming. So, but what happened? At, at first he thought that I should also stop, isn't it? I should ask people, but then he resisted this temptation, and you know what? He continued running, isn't it? But then suddenly what happened? One particular blacksmith, Wachter, his name is Wachter. Got it? Blacksmith. 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 Wachter is his name. Wachter. Wachter. Now Wachter, this particular person, an apprentice. Apprentice means helper. Then he's a blacksmith helper, you can call him. He was reading and he saw him. Isn't it? He saw him. Franz running to school. So in a very relaxed manner he said. बहुत ही relaxed manner में उसने कहा. He said this. Who? This Wachter, that means the apprentice blacksmith. What he said? Heard it? Don't run. Don't go so fast. इतनी तेजी से मत भागो. You will get enough time to reach school. Even that means he wanted to say, even if you go late, even if you reach late, it will not be a big deal. Very important. उसने क्या कहा? उसने isn't it? Don't run. Don't run. Relax. Don't run. Relax. Isn't it? You'll get to school in proper time, isn't it? That means in a way he wanted to say that even if you will be late, isn't it, will not be a big deal. Even ये उसने कहा, isn't it? He wanted to say directly, उसने नहीं कहा, but even what he said, even if you would be late, it would not be a big deal, isn't it? So this particular person, Franz, thought that he's making fun of me because I'm late, so उसने सोचा कि मेरा मजाक उड़ा रहा है, isn't it? But so he did not pay attention, isn't it? अच्छा, got it? Now we know as soon as you enter, we know everywhere, isn't it? As soon as you enter the portals or as soon as you enter the campus of the school, you'll find that peculiar hustle and bustle everywhere, isn't it? Because this is the hallmark of schools. This is the characters, that sort of hustle and bustle, that peculiar sound you will always find in the school, isn't it? And if you are visiting a primary school, isn't it, you'll find, isn't it, children practicing tables, alphabets together in unison, isn't it? Got it? So this is always norm. But on that particular day, isn't it, he was quite surprised. On that day we are talking. Not ever. That day it was different. On that particular day, isn't it? That day. उससे पहले भी लेट हुआ है, लेकिन जैसे वो कैंपस में पहुंचता था, स्कूल के या प्रेमाइस में पहुंचता था, what happened? He would hear the usual sounds. But on that day, things were different. Things were different. Got it? There was Pin drop silence. Deadly calmness. It was deadly calmness, isn't it? No shouting of Mr. Hamill. Mr. Hamill not shouting. Not shouting. Not beating. Not beating his ruler. Isn't it? Not beating his ruler. Nothing. Okay. It was as quiet as Sunday morning. Got it? And you should remember this particular person. Every day he would come late, isn't it? And he would always find commotion in the class, and he would take advantage of this commotion, and in a very secret manner, he would he would he would occupy the last bench. He would take advantage of the commotion और चुपचाप आके पीछे बैठ. That means he would sneak into the last bench and he would sit there. And isn't it? Why? Because there would be a lot of commotion, students may be shouting, isn't it? But on that particular day, what happened? Things were different. Pin drop silence was there. Isn't it? That sort of tranquility was there in the class. Okay, so when the whole class is on time, okay, and there is deadly silence, and then if you are coming late, entering the class late, naturally what will happen? You'll feel very, very awkward. You'll feel guilty, isn't it? आपको अपराध बोध होगा कि देखो सब टाइम पे पहुंच गए और मैं लेट पहुंचा हूं, isn't it? Naturally all will look you, the master would also look at you, isn't it? And naturally it would be a very compromising situation for you. So that happened with Franz on that particular day, isn't it? He reached there, but he was not able to take advantage of that commotion. Not able to take advantage of that commotion, isn't it? Okay, so he was not able to take advantage of the commotion, and that's why he entered the class in front of everybody, in front of everybody, in front of everybody. All were staring at him. In front of everybody, all staring at him. Okay? And Mr. Hamill also, he was surprised at the behavior of Mr. Hamill also. He did not shout. Mr. Hamill did not shout. Mr. Hamill did not shout at him. Just asked him to occupy the seat, isn't it? So when he reached over there, that means he occupied the seat. He reached over there and he occupied the seat. And after some time, what happened? When he got the seat, he was quite surprised that जो सर ने कुछ नहीं बोला मुझे. Mr. Hamill did not utter a single word. Okay, but then he noticed the whole class. When he was able to overcome his fear, when he was comfortable on his seat, he just looked around him. He saw something strange in the class. First and the foremost, the appearance of Mr. Hamill, isn't it? Mr. Hamill, he was looking quite different. Why different? He was wearing his green coat, isn't it? He was different. He was dressed in a different manner. He was in a different attire. He was wearing a beautiful green coat, frilled shirt, and that silk cap. And that particular very typical silk cap. Isn't it? And uh, and he was confused why Mr. Hamill is wearing this special dress he used to wear only on special occasions. That means only on special occasion, whenever there is inspection or annual program of the school. So why the hell he's wearing this very sophisticated dress right now? What is the special?